Welcome to In the Flow. This is the first session about learning how to grow your speaker business and use pricing as the foundation for growth, not just something we do to charge our fee or to charge for our products or services. And so most speakers and creators aren't confused. They're just really under pressure to figure out how not to do everything that they've started doing everything with. And what I mean by that is, if you're a speaker now, you're probably getting on some stages, you're booking some calls, you're doing the follow up, you're getting your logistics together, you're trying to figure it out, you're working on your speech, you're practicing your speech, you're booking your hotel room, and you're doing everything. If you're a course or program creator, you're creating your courses, you're figuring out how to upload it to your platforms, you're connecting all the bits and pieces that need to be connected so that it flows and people can buy it and the links work and everything else. And it just takes a lot out of us to be able to do that. What I'm looking to do with this show, and I call it In the Flow, PHLOW, is because I'm going to use the letters to share some things that will take you to that next level, that next step. But most importantly, to show you how pricing is a foundation to build from. It's not just something that we do or figure out. So the P is the pressure that you're feeling. And that pressure, it's really all about us doing too much, and we feel pressurized, and the most times that we feel that pressure is when we're doing things that we prefer not to do. So if you're a speaker getting on the stage, that's your element. That's the place where you find the most relaxation, satisfaction, and gratification. It's all the other stuff that we have to do in order to get to that point, and then what has to happen afterward that gets to us. And then figuring out how to afford that is the next step. That's when you start transitioning from being a speaker to running a speaking business. That's how you transition from creating courses, selling courses, creating fulfillment, doing the follow up, doing the email sequence, creating the workflows, doing all that. And you transition to finding somebody who can do that for you so that you can be creative. You can hop on the calls. You can interact with the people. You can respond to the messages you want to, but you have a team that helps you do the rest. When you get to that point, you're creating a business. You're not just somebody who's a professional doing something. So if you're working hard, you're getting the results, congratulations, you figured out how to do that. But if you've boxed yourself in and you feel like you got a job, then it's time to understand how pricing works for you. And the way that pricing can work is when you realize that you can build a pricing formula that's not just based on increasing your prices, but when you know exactly what you need to charge and how many sales or how many speaking gigs you need to have in order to make your numbers work, things become clearer, things become easier. And that's what I'm here about, to share with you exactly how that happens. Step one is we have to figure out where is our baseline. And your baseline is, what are your expenses? What are you spending money on that it takes for you to run this business? If you're a speaker, you have internet, you have your graphics, you have your platforms, you have your programs, we have AI now, we have all these things that we pay money for. That's not even counting for each specific speaking gig that you do, the logistics that it takes to get you there, the plane flights, the car shares, the lunches, the hotel, all the stuff that it takes in order for you to be able to go and do a live presentation. If you're doing it from a Zoom call or a live event, but you're doing it digitally, then you still have programs. You need to have a really good speaker. You need to have good equipment. You need to be able to do it. You need to prepare for it. You need to have a moderator a lot of times, unless you're a guest. And so all of those require additional efforts and expenses. And you need to know how to price accordingly to be able to pay for that at the level that you need it, not just being able to afford it. You pay for it at the level that you need it so that you can rest assured that things are getting done, they're getting done the right way, and it's not coming out of your pocket to be able to afford that. That's when you start building a business. That's when you become profitable. That's when, as a speaker, you quit asking what their budget is and you know exactly what your fees are. When you can get to that point, you're creating a successful and sustainable speaking business. When you sell courses or programs or workshops or classes, master classes, what you do is you figure out how many people it takes and what the price point is so that you can build it. It pays for everything, it pays you well, and it covers a profit at the end of it so that whenever there's additional expenses, it's coming out of the business's pocket, not out of yours. So income doesn't feel proportional to the effort. If that's where you're at, then what you need to do is figure out your baseline. And that starts with expenses. What are the expenses that you have? And bottom line, what is it costing you? And with expenses, you're going to have two forms. You're going to have variable expenses, which are occasional. So if you're doing that speaking gig, it's for that event. That's a variable expense because it changes for each event. If you have fixed costs, those are the things that you pay for monthly, yearly, or recurring, and it's the same amount. That's a fixed cost. You have to know both of those. On top of that, you have to determine what is the income that you desire to have, and you combine all of those together. And when you know that number, you'll know how many gigs you need to speak a month or a year. You'll know how many courses, workshops, programs, events you need to sell, and then how many people you need in there. That's what the formula is about. It's not an easy formula to figure out. I created a calculator, and the way that I created it was because of my own business. I was meteoric. I had 1.2 million in sales the first year, but I had no clue what I was doing. I was just a selling machine. I knew marketing and I knew sales, and I was good at it. But what happened was I was asked if I was profitable, and I couldn't answer that question. So it took a lot of effort and a lot of work to figure it out. But I realized that if I kept going the rate and the way that I was going to go out of business because I wasn't generating enough income. I wasn't selling at a price that paid for everything, including the error factor that I had in the business. It was a construction business. And I almost went out of business, even though we were doing really well. I worked out a formula over time, and I've created a calculator now to help people like you figure out what you need to charge for speaking gigs and what you need to charge for courses. Excuse me one second. When you know that answer, it makes everything easier and you can build your business. Once you have the formula and once you have a calculator, you not only know what to charge now, but what you do is you forecast your growth at the level that you need it. And then you figure out what is that price. And what happens most times with the people I work with is that your price might be here and the growth price is only here. Even though you would think, oh, for me to hire 2 assistants and to get this other program and to do this, it's going to cost me a ton of money. It doesn't. So what I'm telling you today is get your pricing together by starting with knowing what you spend money on and knowing what you want to make as an income. And then we add profit at the end of that. And the way that you add profit is you add a percentage to it. When you have that, you will have a profitable business that sustains the growth and that is successful. And so let me look at my notes real quick just to see if I didn't cover everything. So the pressure that you're experiencing is real, and it's a good place to be at. You're at this problem, and congratulations for growing big enough to bump into this problem, which is you're working too hard, you're not making enough money. If you're at that point, it's time to grow, and it's time to transition mentally from being a speaker or being somebody who creates courses to running a speaking business or running a course creation company. And so if you're ready for that point, congratulations, start with that baseline. I'll come back to this show. This is my first one. It's a little bit rough. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to share information. I'll share additional videos. If you have any questions, just show up. I will answer every question that you ask. And I thank you for being here today and watching this. I will be back and it will be better the next time, I promise.